So welcome. I'm Alice Hadi. I'm coming to you live from Indonesia, and it's a pleasure to be with each and every one of you today. So I'm gonna kind of begin by starting to share about my personal journey with light language, how I come to activating light language, and what it has done for me in terms of my healing and awakening journey. And then I'm going to go to the things you need to know about light language, like the what is light language, the benefits, the different types of light language, how it works. And most magically, you're going to experience a 12 chakras activation during the session later on. So that will be really an amazing first-hand experience, whether it's your first time or whether you have done this before. Then I will move on to explain how you too can activate your own light language, because all of us have access to that. And then end it with a Q&A towards the end. All right. So as I was sharing earlier, do take this space like almost like a meditative state where you are really giving yourself this time to really be with yourself and give yourself the opportunity to receive, knowing that whether you watch this live or whether you watch this on replay, it is as potent and powerful. Because what matters is it is in your pace and in your timing. That is your magic witchy hour. Make sense? And also know that this is not just me speaking words, in the sense that there is healing, there is activation, there is energy being transmitted right from the moment you enter this space. It is a ceremony. You are already in a ceremonial process the moment you say, yes, I'm coming to this event. Something has shifted, something is awakened, something is already initiated in that moment of yes. And the moment you say yes to the universe conspires to provide you with whatever you need, leading you up to right this moment, knowing you receive everything you need and you will not miss anything out. So leave the fear of missing out of the door, knowing you receive exactly what you need. And that the replay will be available. You can always come back if you feel like, oh, there are some points that I think I want to recap and then I want to redo the journey. They will be available to you. But for now, open heart, open mind, relax, and have fun. So I started my light language journey in 2016. At the time, I quit my job in 2015 and I went on this spiritual seeking journey for a year, and it was a very synchronistic event. What happened was I actually was on the way to a writing workshop. Not on the way, I was in a writing workshop with my spiritual mentor at the time, Regina. And it's really funny because I ended up being the only person there. And then halfway through the writing, which essentially is also channeling, by the way, but halfway through the writing, she was like, Elise, I think your light language is going to come out. And I'm like, I don't think so. Nothing is coming out here. Trust me. Because you need to understand the time I just came out of corporate. So light language is totally out of the world. And I haven't even attended light language session at all. It's like I knew about it just because I've seen workshop, I've heard about it, but I've never attended a single session. So for me, with that zero background and understanding, to hear her tell me that my light language is coming out, it's like, no. However, there was a voice inside of me that says, listen and trust. And so I surrender. And I told her pretty reluctantly, okay, do whatever you need to do. And so she went through and dived in a process of vocal toning with me, as well as call and response with me, which eventually led me to speaking light language today. So welcome to those who are just joining in. Welcome. You can pop in the chat to see what has been going on. So I was just sharing about how I activated my light language. So by working with my mentor of mine, who go through a process of vocal toning, call and response, and activation. She helped me to activate my light language in a writing workshop. Like, it's just not making logical sense, right? Like, who will go to a writing workshop and come out with light language? It's like, duh. But you know what? That's the beauty of universe. That's the magic of divine. That is the power that is available when we surrender. When we surrender to the flow of what the universe present to us, and we say yes, and we say yes, and then we say yes, and we trust at every single step, and we let go of the outcome, knowing that we are always guided to the right place at the right time to the right people, receiving what we need. So that's kind of how I activated my light language back in 2016. And back then, I was using it primarily for my personal healing journey before I started teaching others. So I was using it a lot at the time for emotional healing because I was working a lot in my emotional healing and opening my heart chakra at the time. So every time when I felt like anger and frustration come out, I would allow myself to feel it and tune into it, but then I will use light language to transmute it and then actually rebalance myself into love and peace. So that's how I primarily use it at the beginning. I use it for personal healing and for emotional healing. And then as I journey deeper and deeper into light language, I started to use light language as basically a tool to communicate with my higher guides, starting from my dragons to the angels and then to the star mothers and ascended masters and the different goddesses, basically whoever that come my way since 2016 till now. That's how they came to me, primarily through light language. And so it kind of helped in emotional healing as well as spiritual healing in that sense to help the awakening process. And for me, because my journey started a little bit non-conventionally in a way, like I started channeling before I received light language. So I personally feel the biggest difference when I channel. So it doesn't mean that every one of you have to channel. It's not necessary. If it's not your calling or like you don't feel like doing it, you don't have to. Because at the end, like as you receive the light language transmission that I'm going to channel for you today, whatever you receive as a channeler, I receive too. So we are receiving the same benefit in that sense because it will be attuned to the whatever the specific person needs. And you will receive what you need, like what Magali received and what Sunny received and what Elaine or Sophia and me receive and whoever else that are joining us later are going to receive different things. But it will always be what you need. Make sense? But the distinction for me as a channeler that I find it extremely powerful is that when I started channeling, the difference from me versus when I receive is that ability to allow me to step into my inner power. It really awakened that inner priestess in me, inner goddesses, inner divine, whatever name you call it, as I own my power, because in order to channel, I got to trust and I got to surrender. Like, like you can't channel without surrendering. So it's really a lesson for me to surrender and trust and surrender and trust, starting with light language, but then it translates into every area of our life, right? However, like light language is just such an amazing tool for me to hone that practice as a channeler and as an energy worker, as a healer, as a coach, whatever name you want to give it, because not everyone necessarily resonate with the word channeler, but I'm just saying the benefit is there, whether you call it channeling, transmission, guiding, whatsoever. Make sense? So that's kind of like just kind of the distinction between channeling and receiving. So from here on, what I would love to start with is to really share with you guys especially some of you might be totally new. And even if you are familiar with light language, you know, sometimes hearing the same thing being said in a different way will awaken something and like kind of like go like, oh, that's like a new way of looking at it. Or maybe it just expand your horizon in whatever way. So the way I define light language is really simple because I love to keep things simple. So I share light language simply as energy transmission. So I'm allowing myself to be the conduit of light to allow divine source to be expressed through me in the form of light language. Light language is the most organic and purest raw form of energy before it gets translated into words, which is why it doesn't sound like English or Chinese or Spanish or whatever, you know, like whatever human language, so to speak, that we talked about. And the beauty about that is that it bypasses the mind because the mind cannot make sense of it, which was frustrating at the beginning because then we're like, I want to know what is being said. But then like, you don't need to know, right? And that kind of like allows you to drop more into your heart and trust what you feel and trust your intuition into what you receive intuitively, because we have the four clairs, right? The clairvoyance as to what we see, the claircognizance as to what we know, the clairaudience as to what we hear, and the clairsentience as to what we sense in the body, and other clairs, right? Into it, like in whatever way you experience your divinity. So that is like what light language is like, and kind of how it works. It bypasses the mind and it really works on a deep cellular level, DNA level, to really open your heart and open you up to the multi-dimensional beingness that you are, where you know that you know that you know you have access to your own inner wisdom, that everything you desire is within you. Everything you ever need is within you. All the answers are within you. And light language simply is there to help you remember those things. It's a soul remembrance journey. And the different types of light language is that since it is an energy transmission and a way to express divinity, light language has been expressed through three main different types, the way I do it. So the first one is the spoken light language, which is using the voice. Now that can be spoken, it can be sing, it can be chanted, but it falls under like audio basically. So for simplicity, I call them the spoken light language. That's the first type. The second type, which you might see around in TikTok and stuff like that, is when, you know, people are waving their hand and doing light language. Some of them call it hand light language. Some of them don't give it a name, but a lot of them are actually doing hand light language by allowing the divine to move through using their hands. So I call that hand light language. And the third one is through written light language. Once again, although it's written, it can also be drawn. So it can be written or it can be drawn in a form of symbols, and even sacred geometry actually fall under this category on a bigger aspect. So to sum it up again, there is spoken light language, there's written light language, and there is hand light language. And that's the three types of light language that I do help you activate in my light language activation course, which I will share a little bit more later on today. And as for today, you're going to experience the spoken light language and to some degree, maybe the hand light language. But that said, you know, like just close your eyes and receive. Don't try to be watching. So I'm just letting you know that that might be what you're experiencing. And but just to satisfy your curiosity, because our mind is curious, I'm going to show you something. 1 second. So this is an example of something that I just did on 2 days ago. It's called 5D rose gold alchemy. It might not reflect that clearly, but let's see. So from far, it looks like this. Okay. And when you zoom in, whatever you see in the center these are an example of how light language looks like. And there is the sacred geometry, which essentially is triangle in this case that is being drawn. And then the rest is, if you actually look at it this way, this is meant to be drawn this way actually. So this is just one of the many examples, like everyone is going to write it a little bit differently and draw it a little bit differently. So that's just to give you an example of the sacred symbol, and yours is going to look totally different from mine, and the way you speak your light language will have different accent or different tonality than mine, you know, things like that. There is like really no right or wrong way, as long as you are really tuned in and channeling it from the divine source in that sense. So with that, I'm gonna share like the benefits of light language, is kind of linked to how it works, which I kind of already touched on here and there a little bit. But there is this beautiful client story that I want to share. It's so beautiful because she was basically summing everything up. So she was sharing. So this is one of my students in the light language activation course, and she said that I had begun speaking my light language, and I have gained, and I honestly have never felt better. I have gained confidence and self-esteem. I've been able to regulate my emotions easier without having uncontrollable outbursts. I feel more aligned with my soul purpose. I'm just all around feeling and doing better. I procrastinate less. I feel more energized. And this has helped me get unstuck. And I'm so grateful for your help to help me awaken my light language. So that's a beautiful story from one of my students. And it's so profound because this is just from one person, but she has covered like everything. Like she has experienced the emotional healing that come with it, because she's able to regulate the emotions better, and she's gained confidence and self-esteem, which is kind of mental and emotional, and also on spiritual level. She was saying that she's feeling more aligned with your soul purpose, and that's also one of the many benefits where I have students who, you know, whether they channel their light language or they are on the receiving end, they start to remember their soul origin, like who they are, why they are here, and what is their divine mission, and all those memories and remembrance and wisdom just start pouring and coming back. Not necessarily in one session, although that could be, but sometimes kind of like over time, it kind of unfold the more they allow themselves to dive deeper into that. So that is like the example of the benefits where it really help you to awaken your soul gift, remember your purpose or mission, activate your DNA, and align your chakra, regulate your emotions. The list basically goes on. But at the end, I really just love to come back to the idea of it being a soul remembrance journey, because even the idea of activating your own light language is not so much about me teaching you or you learning it than you remembering it. All that is happening is that there is a guided process to help you to awaken it in a more systematic approach, if you may. You know, the idea is to be held and loved and supported so that you feel safe to remember them. Because a lot of the time, the main challenge that a lot of us in spiritual journey has is that we are afraid of our own power, because we have never been taught. Since young, we have been taught to be giving our power away, to find the answers outside of us. And it's almost scary to go inside, because what if I'm wrong? What if I'm not doing it right? And who am I, right? Like what do I know? And all the what I'm not good enough story that can take forever to finish. So you get it, you know, like, so we are not taught to stand in our power, to own our power. And a lot of time we are afraid of it without knowing. Like we are not gonna consciously say, yes, I'm afraid of it, but like there is deep layer of resistance as subconscious memories that sometimes we are afraid of it for whatever reason. So sometimes people might be afraid to access that inner wisdom inside of them, which include the ability to channel light language. So that's all a guide or a healer and a teacher does, is to help you have that safe and supportive space and to help you have the guided journey and process so that you can actually feel safe to awaken to all of those. Now, if you guys have any questions, you can pop it in the chat and then I'll answer it towards the end, just in case, you are afraid that you will forget it. Feel free to use the chat to pop your question or do any of the sharing. That way you can get it out of your mind so that it is not like lingering, and that will help you to receive the light language transmission that I'm going to start soon better. All right, so this is a space where you can pop in to share your question or anything you want to pop by there. So what's going to happen soon is I'm going to channel the 12 chakras activation using light language. And then after the light language transmission is finished, then I'm going to share with you like the number one thing you need to unlock your light language. How do you know if you're ready to activate your light language, and ways you can activate your light language? I'm just going to have a sip of water for now. So great question, Sunny. The writing workshop that I went to is actually an automatic writing workshop. So it does help to, and I have a lot of students who awaken their light language after an automatic writing, meaning automatic writing is a very common tool where people start to experience channeling. Like people, not necessarily everyone, some people are more like singing and chanting, but like for writing purpose, a lot of people start from automatic writing. Now, the difference, in order to answer your question, is it depends on when you automatic write, are you writing in English or are you writing in non-English? Because if you're writing in English, then it's already being translated in English. Because light language is more like a symbol or a sigil and a shape and form, like a pure form where it has not been translated into any human language, nor is it necessary. That said, I'm not saying that the translated words are less efficient. That's not what I mean. So don't get it wrong. A lot of people have this misconception that, oh, light language is better. No, they are just different, right? The only difference here is that light language is, this is not exactly what it is, but to help us understand logically using human mind is, if you imagine there are steps, then light language is like the energy that come in before our mind translate it. And then you can choose to translate it straight away, no big deal. You can choose to transmit it in the pure form of light language. And that is also the beauty of light language, because it is in the purest and most organic form without being translated, which means there is no filter of the mind involved. A lot of channelers are able to translate into English with minimum or no filter, like the trans channeler, and that is as powerful. But a lot of the time, when we translate into English, even if the channeler is 100% purely channeling without filter and the translation is 100% pure, now the receiver has their own filter, and the receiver mind will start to give meaning and analysis and connotation that sometimes, I mean, we've seen it all the time. I say one thing and you interpret it totally the other way. So that's kind of like the challenge with the human language or the human mind, is that the moment the mind come in, there are a lot of like triggers and past memories and things that just come in. And light language allow us to soften that a little bit, because the mind couldn't make sense out of that. It will try to, but at one point, like it kind of like, okay, I I give up. And then we can go deeper. And towards the end, I'm gonna open up the session with video and all if you guys feel like sharing a little bit more. But for now, I kind of just want to ask to stay in that container and go within the flow. So thanks so much for the question, Sunny. That will be very insightful for people here. So we are going to go into the 12 chakras activation right now. If you haven't already, get yourself in a comfortable position. I often say that you want to treat this like a meditation. So make sure you are in a safe space, uninterrupted. Lie down or sit down, doesn't matter. And I invite you to begin by closing your eyes and taking 3 deep grounding breaths. Breathing in, letting go. Receiving what you need. Breathing in, let go with the sound. Releasing the rest. Breathing in again. Breathing in. And let everything go. Dropping deeper into the here and now. Into the present moment. Into your body. If it feels good, you can place one hand on your heart, another one on your tummy. This helps you to connect your heart space with your womb space. As above, so as below. And when I say womb, I simply means divine feminine. So if you don't have a womb, then refer to it as the pelvic space. Taking a few moments to let whatever that is being shared sink in. I now call forth the presence of the Divine Mother and the Divine Father, calling in angels and guides who wish to be present to be with us today, knowing that only 100% pure light is being transmitted today, and may everything that is being shared be done for the highest good of all. And so it is. Taking your own time to set your silent prayer or intention for today. And seal your prayer with Amen, Aho, so it is, whatever feels good. Softening your heart, opening your aura, allowing all parts of you to receive the healing today. Receive the activation today. And if you are willing to receive this 12 chakra activation, simply say yes. Remember that light language is not something to be understood from the mind. It is to be felt from the heart. Notice whatever that comes up for you. You might see flashes of vision or images on numbers, words, symbols, light colors. You might hear a tone, a word, a hum, a melody. You might feel chill, tingling, heat in your body. You might simply have a knowingness, an intuitive hit of knowing something. And you know what? If you feel nothing at all, it's perfectly okay. Because the beauty of light language is we are surrendering and allowing the divine to do the work. None of us is doing the work here. The so-called work we have to do today is to receive. That's it. With that understanding in mind, we anchor it in, breathing in and breathing out, relaxing and receiving. And now I'll begin the channeling. Kuana kuana ya eana kuasa ya eatala kuana ya iatana uana la eatala kuana la easala kuana la Iataya kuanaya eanala kuanaya easala kuanala. Iatala salatana huanala kaya lataya haya lataya. Iana la kuana la eana la taya la huana la sata la kaya. Hiana la hiata la ku. Hiana la hiana la ku. Hiana la hiana la ku. Hiata la tiana la heana la hiana la taya kaya na la heana la saya na la. Hiana la tia la taya kuana la heana la hua la taya kaya. Heana la kuana la taya kaya na la hea. Hiana la tia salataya sayata. Hiana la tiana la keana la hiana la tea. Hiana la huana la sayana la kiana la hia taya kaya. Hiana la tia taya taya hua. Iana la, iana la, hiana la tak 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 tak. Ia salatika la talasa. Hiana la tia, he ana la hua na la saya na la he ana la he. Ua na la tia na la hia na la he a kaya la tia la taya na la hua na la hia. Hianaya, he anaya, he a sahla saya, kaisa. Hiatala tikiliti, hianala huatala kaya, hiasatala hianala kaya tala hia. Hia tianala huanala haya. Anala hia, hianala hua, hianala saya nala. Hia kaya, hia kaya. Imagining a golden light coming down all the way from your soul star chakra, all the way on the top of the head and beyond your head, right down from the cosmos. This golden light coming down the soul star chakra and moving down all your 12 chakras, all the way down, 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 all the way down to your feet and down to the root chakra and down to the earth star chakra and landing it all back into Mama Gaia, connecting with Mama Gaia, knowing that your 12 chakras is being aligned, and whatever that is not serving you is released back to Mother Earth, and it will be transmuted as it sent it right back to you. You don't need to visualize or see anything, simply intending it and understanding it. Hia nala hia kala naya saya nala hia nala taya. Hia nala hua nala taya nala hea nala hua nala saya naya. Ia nala hua nala tia nala hea. Hia nala kua nala hea nala taya nala hea saya. Hea nala hua nala. Hea nala hua nala. Hea nala hua nala. Ia tala tia taya 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 taya. And allowing this golden light to go down like a rainfall, like a waterfall, all the way down, enveloping your body with golden light, activated, awaken, whole and complete and free as you are. Allowing the next few moments of silence to simply observe whatever that might have arisen, if any. And I invite you to place both hands on your heart and repeat these words after me. I reclaim my desire. I own my desire. I honor my desire. I fulfill my desire. I materialize my desire. I am the divine feminine. I am the divine masculine. I am one with all, and all is one with me. Everything I desire is within me. Everything I need is within me. Everything I want to know is within me. And so I awaken my inner priestess, inner goddess, inner light, inner whatever you want to call it. I'm powerful. I'm bountiful. I'm beautiful. And so it is. Breathing that in. Let this new frequency permeate every cells of your body. This new vibration enveloping every fiber of your being. And this new reality translated into your physical world. And when you open your eyes next, you're gonna see a new reality, a new timeline, a new frequency, a new you. Taking your time to rub your hands together, rubbing your palms together, creating some heat, and place it in your eyes as you come fully back into the present moment. 1, you are back into your room. 2, you are back into your body. 3, observing your breath. 4, feeling the heat on your face. 5, open your eyes and slowly and gently put your palms back down into your knee or wherever that feels good. And you may slowly and gently come back to the present moment, into the here and now. If you're feeling a little bit lightheaded, simply drink some water to ground yourself, or you can just start touching your body, like putting both hands on your shoulder and rubbing down your shoulder, your arms, your face, tapping your face, pinching if you need, or smiling, just remember, oh, I'm back in this body. I have this hair, I have this hand, I have this beautiful smile on my face and on my heart, and I'm a beautiful soul. So feel free to share your experience in the chat or later on if you prefer to talk. So I'm just gonna very quickly close the session by sharing a few more things. So the one thing you will need to know in order to unlock your light language is no magic, really. Like, it's no rocket science. It's really to remember that your light language is already within you. As I've shared earlier on, it is a soul remembrance journey. What you need to remember is it's already within you, and it's up to you to be willing and to be ready to awaken it should you desire to. There is no 5 steps formula or things like that. So it is pretty much that. And then there are the few ways to activate your light language. There are 2 common ways that I personally experienced and seen it in my students. The first one is what I call exposure technique, meaning you just expose yourself to light language as much as you can. That means, you are here on a light language master class like this. You are in light language healing session that you love, whether you are listening to a specific channel that you like or in person, just expose yourself enough. And then some people, which I have experienced firsthand in my session, is that there are some students of mine that actually attended my light language transmission and then they got activated on the spot because something just awakened and got triggered and they remember and they start speaking. So that is one possibility, and I've seen it happening, and it does happen to people. And that might not the way for everybody, though. So that is one technique, exposure technique. And the other way, for those of you who might not feel that is the technique for you, then the other technique is what I share as call and response technique. So the idea of call and response, which you might have heard it before, is something like copying, although you are not exactly copying, because obviously my light language will be different than yours, but it's like you are copying what the person say. The idea behind it is to get familiarized with how it feels and how it sounds, and just to kind of get yourself out of your comfort zone. And that is like the general idea of call and response technique. However, I've also created it to design it so specifically for light language activation that I've actually created a vocal toning exercise designed to activate light language, and call and response technique 1 and call and response technique 2. Now that I think of it, it's such a simple name, like 1 and 2, but yeah, call and response technique 1 and 2. So all these 3 combined together are the technique I have personally used to activate my light language, as well as 200 over students in my light language activation course, to help them activate their light language. So that is the other way to activate through what I call and response technique. So there are two ways. And when you actually join on my light language activation course, you're going to experience both technique, because naturally you will be exposed to light language and you will go through the light language activation process through the technique I shared earlier. And you're going to actually learn how to speak, how to write, and how to do hand light language all in that course as well. And then you'll also learn how light language act as an energy portal, or what I call like a spiritual QR code, so to speak. It is all explained inside there. And also the juicy part is you get to learn how to build your own light language business, or how you can incorporate it into your existing business. So you can find all that information below. I pop it in the chat or in the comment down below. So it will be alicehadi.com/LL, and you can find all the information. And the last piece that I really want to leave with you is, how do you know if you are ready to activate your light language? That is something common that I've had people ask. And my answer is always that you will know it. The same way that you know you want to come to this masterclass, that's the same knowingness you will know that you want to activate your light language. The truth is you'll never be ready 100%, like when is even ready, but it's more of the willingness, because as I said, it's already inside of you. It's more of your willingness to explore it and to activate it, whether it is for your personal healing journey, your awakening journey, or, to learn it as a healing modality that you can use for yourself or your clients or your business. That will be an amazing tool that you can work on. And as I shared earlier, you can find all the information down below at alicehadi.com/LL. The link is popped down below as well. With that, I trust that you have enjoyed today's masterclass as much as I've enjoyed creating them. And I now open up the floor for question and answer, or whether you have question about light language itself, or about the course, or you simply want to share your experience from today transmission, or just like aha moment that come up. And you can do that via the chat if you prefer to be off camera, or if you are okay, you can come on camera or audio. Simply unmute yourself.
I want to just say thank you. I feel so relaxed, and I can hear your voice when you do the section, but of course I don't understand it, but I just feel like I can hear your voice, but I'm always like in between sleeping, dreaming, but I can hear your voice. And I think that is kind of great experience. So I do have one question though. Like when I think it's 2020, there's a lot of people in the clubhouse. It's like a smart phone and app. So a lot of people speak, they have a community, talk about light language. That's how the first time I heard that term. So my question is, when they are like, everybody just have a lot of fun and saying something in a different tone, different way, do they really connect in the way understanding, or it's just the vibration, they all feel joyful, or there's a meaning behind that?
Okay, great question, Sunny. Depends on the person. So it is not necessarily to translate. However, generally, as a channeler myself, I do have a sense of what is being done. Like, so for example, like I set the intention to have the energy that come through today to be designed for 12 chakras activation. So I might not have like 12 steps process, if you know what I mean, but like I ask for a very specific frequency to come in. So that is very specific, very focused with an intention. So that's one way of doing it. And that's actually how a lot of channelers I know who does that. That said, there are also a bunch of channelers who love to, let's just open up to what comes true. And that is amazing too. So whatever comes true, comes true. Some people, they have a sense of a message, but they So, okay, so it's either they have a sense of it, but they don't share it, or they don't care about it. Meaning like there are some people who just are very woo, like they don't need to know and they don't need to understand, and they are perfectly okay with that. So they are just working more with energy and the essence and the flavor, if you may, like, and that they are happy with that. Like you say, they just feel joyful, and that's good enough. That's great, right? So there are those people who are like that, and there are those people who want to know more, and it's okay. And I'm like in between. Like I'm not obsessed about knowing the details. However, I feel that having some groundedness to it is what makes it human experience. Otherwise, it is just like I'm not going on a spiritual party and get high and then what, like what what now, right? There's a, for me, like I do want to know like what it is like, so at least like I know specifically we are doing a 12 chakras, and that help to align the energy, which obviously with a balanced chakras you have clarity of mind, opening of heart, like you get more in tune with your wisdom and your intuition and things like that. And or at times in a longer session, because now it's due to the time, in a longer session, if I do actually do a free flow channeling, like I said, where I allow whatever to come true, I do at the end kind of like give an overall theme. So it might not necessarily be like a word per word translation in that sense. However, an overall theme that what feels like that come true is like, for example, the divine feminine energy earlier. Actually, I did give a little earlier. So that is like an add-on towards the end where I was saying that I asked you guys to repeat after me. So those are like the add-on where like the energy that came through feels to me it is about like reconnecting with the divine feminine. Like part of the 12 chakras activation involves that. Like the sacral chakra is coming very strongly earlier to reclaim the desire, owning our desire, and really fulfilling that desire. And that is what came true specifically for this group. And it might be a little bit different for other people. And then it's not necessarily necessary to translate that in that sense, but I feel called to share, so I did, and some people might not share it. That's kind of a long answer to your short question, I think, but does that help and does that answer your question?
Yeah, because I just thoroughly enjoyed the section, throughout the light language section. But one guy is just very curious. He just asking all the question, can I come here? Can I learn it? And I talk to you this way? And what's the best way? So I just like, wow, this guy is just, really just want to know the details. But I appreciate you talk about this is really the way of communication, just like someone can smell something, someone can feel something. There's no word to describe it because everybody's a different sensation, different connections, right? But I think it really depends on the person, right? If they hear it just from the ear, they don't really connect to anything, and they try to trap in this head, just try to make sense. And I think that's really mixing the point, or she just like you say, to just relax. You need to go through the frequency around everywhere. Then it doesn't need to really give a name or a label, or what is the message? Do I need to change my diet, or do I need to do something different? That is really not the purpose for light language, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. Like the message will come to you with or without light language, if that makes sense. Like we are receiving message all day long if you listen to our guys, but light language does help to activate that in the sense that it does clear your channel. When you clear your channel, you hear clearer. So it does help to accelerate that process, so you get the message a little bit easier, a little bit clearer, a little bit faster, if you may. But it's not necessarily. And also to understand that everyone experience energy healing differently, as you were sharing earlier. And the next time you come back to the replay, you are going to receive this replay. So if any of you guys feel like you want to redo the light language transmission, you're going to experience totally different thing. That is how energy work. And also sometimes some people not necessarily, there are some people who feel nothing, but then the next day they have like a 3 pages download in their journal, right? Because maybe now they need to recalibrate the energy there, some releasing they need to do. And then the next day, the clarity comes in, or the next week. So just be open and available. And as you are sharing, don't try to label it and put a name to it. I mean, if it feels good, then, then it's great, isn't it? Like, there is like, what other purpose do we need more than to actually feel aligned and feeling true to who we are? And then be, again, coming back to what I shared earlier, if there is anything, is coming back to trusting and surrendering and taking the next step that is being presented to us, whatever that is. So thank you so much, Shani, for sharing your experience and asking the question. And welcome, Elaine, and thank you. That was great. You're welcome. Great to have you. Megali, my pleasure. It was quite enlightening. Awesome. So all of you guys are going to receive the replay. Feel free to re-listen to the light language transmission for the next 7 days, if that feels good, or 3 days, whatever name you want to call it, just to kind of expose yourself and deepen into that. And if you have more things you want to share that might pop up, or any questions that you might pop up later, you can always reach out to me. I'm most reachable via Instagram at Alice Hadi, or you can go to my website and click on the contact form to drop your questions. Or if some of you found me on Facebook, you can also message me there. Although you won't see any content from me in Facebook, but I might be reachable still. And again, if you feel like you want to deepen into your journey for light language, you can always check out the light language activation course, where the link was popped down below. And with that, it seems like we have no more question or sharing for today, but Sophia might have something to say, because if Sophia is still here. So yeah, but thank you so much, Magali, Sunny, Elaine, as well as everyone who is joining us on replay. And thank you, Sophia, and Sacred You community in general.